Oh yes, I bet most of us are dreaming of the past right now with the way that our lineups are shaking up for this week between buys and injuries. It's going to be a tough one, but before we get into this week, let's start off by congratulating the Week 6 winners. We have Moe's Bros going into 4-2. The Resurgence 3-3. Baba Yagas at 3-3. Swayze Slugs at 3-3. And to round out the winners, Carl's Pirates at 2-4. My picks are now at 17 and out of 25 on the year, which is not terrible, I guess. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Welcome to Week 7. First off, it'll be the Moe's Bros, the 3 seed, going against the 1 seed, Derrick Henry Dick Eaters for life. Starting with the quarterbacks as always. I think both are absolute studs and have really good matchups. Detroit versus Baltimore should be relatively high scoring, and Kansas City against the Chargers almost always going to be high scoring. So I think both quarterbacks have great game environments. My slight lean is towards Herbert, but it is not by much. Next up, Tyreek Hill and Steph Diggs. Another just brutal comparison here. They are both so talented and so clearly the alphas of their offense, but if I had to choose, gun to my head, I'd choose Tyreek. But again, it's not going to be my much. Next up, we have Ayuk and Tyler Lockett, and in my opinion, these guys are like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. You have Ayuk, who's guaranteed boom bust every week. He's either going to put up 15 or like 5. Whereas with Lockett, you're getting really solid production throughout the season. It's just his ceiling is nowhere near where I think Ayuk's can be. Anyways, moving on to the running back spot, I'm going to be taking Eckler over almost every running back in the league, especially David Montgomery, who is, I think, out this week. I'm pretty sure. Well, I see in the Yahoo projections they have him as out as well, but yeah, I'm fairly certain David Montgomery is going to be missing this week. So, yeah, no brainer. Move on. And I'll go with ETN over Zach Moss. The more I think about it, the more I think that ETN acquisition is incredible for Teddy and makes him one of the best teams in the league. It also makes his like top half through the tight end and flex spot a murderer's row, especially when Ayuk is hitting. So good job, Hugh, for giving up ETN for DK Metcalf. That makes no sense to me. Anyways, I'm not gonna harp. Next up, the tight end spot, we have Jonnu Smith and Evan Ingram. Ingram, as far as the tight end position goes, has been amazing this year. It really impressed me. With that being said, so is Jonnu Smith. I think Jonnu Smith right now is like the tight end. I don't want to make stuff up, but I know for a fact he's being ranked inside the top 10 for the tight end position rest of season. Him and Kyle Pitts, I think, are like 7 and 8. So the Atlanta Falcons love to use their tight ends. We expected all of that to go to Kyle Pitts. Turns out that's not going to happen. It's going to go to Jonnu Smith, and that is A-okay with Teddy. So, anyways, to round out this matchup, we'll take a look at Rashid Shaheed versus Christian Kirk, and to keep it short and sweet, I'll take Christian Kirk. Looking at this matchup holistically, I think it's going to be Teddy by like a pretty significant margin. The lack of running back depth, it's obviously very easy to say this right now with David Montgomery having his whopping 0 points projected, but David Montgomery and Zach Moss are not going to be able to hold a candle to Eckler and ETN, and that would be fine if, you know, Teddy was really thin at other spots that Hunter was not thin at, but that's just not the case. I think this is a very stout roster, and Hunter's going to have a tough time keeping up. Maybe Derrick Henry is the saving grace for this squad. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, my pick's Teddy, and we will move on. Uh, the Gutter Boys versus the Baba Yagas, the 5 seed. I'll take Jalen over Tua. Fuck you, Cup. I guess I'll take Cup over AJ Brown, but I'm not happy about it. Next up, I'll take Keenan Allen over Puka. You can have both the running backs, Saquon and Ken, whatever. I'll take Kelsey over Musgrave. And then, honestly, like Waddle and his overall production has really taken a decline. So I will take Drake London and the throwing machine, Desmond Ridder himself. Please just continue throwing the ball 30-plus times a game. Please. Do not stop. You can stop next week. Just this week, I need those pass attempts to be up again. Also, sorry, Addison. This isn't like, I don't think our matchup is this actually lopsided. As a matter of fact, I think it's very close, but I'm just super short on time this week, so I have to do this to, honestly, like a few of our matchups, and you got the bad matchup being faced up against me. So, sorry, Addison, but it is what it is. Gutter Boys by a mile. Next up, we have the 6 seed Swayze Slugs going up against the 4 seed, the Resurgence. I'll take Mahomes over Purdy. I'll take Devontae over Terry. I don't really think those need much of an explanation. I'm also going to take Marquise Brown over Kendrick Bourne, but there is something to note here that like Kyler Murray will be taking over eventually in Arizona, and we saw Marquise Brown be like incredibly ineffective with Kyler as quarterback. So maybe he's like a sell high for you right now, Hunter, but yeah, for the time being, I'm still going to take Marquise Brown over Kendrick Bourne. Then I'll go with CMC. I'm getting word, though, that there's a chance he's going to miss this game on Monday, in which case I'd obviously be picking DeAndre Swift. But if he's healthy, it is CMC. Next up, I'll go with Kamara over Algier, but Algier's goal line role cannot be undervalued. He is getting the majority of the work inside the 10. It sucks for Bijan and it sucks for Fruch, but that's just the way that they're operating right now in Atlanta. So that, Tyler Algier is not a joke at the running back 2 spot. I think he's a pretty solid play, to be honest with you. And next up, we'll take a look at the tight ends. We have Zach Ertz and TJ Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson without JJ on the field is really going to benefit. And for that reason, I would be taking TJ Hawkinson over everyone but Kelsey right now. And that'll stay that way until JJ comes back. So I'll take Hawk over Ertz, obviously. And then lastly, for this matchup, we have Kadarius Toney going up against Raheem Mostert. And I will take Mostert. I don't think much needs to be said there. Kadarius Toney feels like droppable to me. It's just you're praying for these like explosions, and I don't think it's happened once this season. So I'll pull that up just to. Yeah, the most Kadarius has scored was last week against Denver, and it was 7.9 points, and it was really just because of the touchdown. He had -5 rushing yards, 3 catches for 9 yards, and one of them just so happened to be a touchdown. So he really saved himself from like maybe a negative point performance last week, and besides that, his next highest game is 6.3 points. So yeah, I'm obviously going to take Mostert over Kadarius Toney. So with all that being said, should be a relatively clean dub here in Week 7 for Hunter and the Resurgence. Moving on to Shaka Zulu, the 7 seed, versus the Fruch Dynasty, the 8 seed. Tough quarterback matchup, but I'll take Geno. Kind of surprised you're not rocking with Goff, Hugh, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm missing an injury there, but anyways, moving on. Oof again here with the wide receiver 1 spot, but I'll take DJ. even with a backup quarterback, over Michael Pittman and Gardner Minshew. I'm not saying that Minshew is like a sucky backup quarterback. I think he does his job, pretty well, all things considered. But you're just not getting like a crazy high ceiling this week against Cleveland, in my opinion. Michael Pittman just has a tough matchup, so I'll be going with DJ Moore in a pretty good game environment, or what should be a good game environment against the Raiders. Next up, you got Mike Evans going up against Jahan Dotson, and although Mike Evans is facing A.J. Terrell, in my opinion, one of the best corners in the league, I still am going to go with him over Dotson. Dotson is really, kind of bewildered me this year. I was really high on Dotson coming into this offseason, and all throughout the offseason I stayed high on him. But, man, I dodged a bullet by not getting him. Hopefully he works out for you, Fruch, so you can get some, firepower back in that roster, but I don't see that happening, so I'll take Mike Evans, even with a tough matchup, over Dotson. And then we got to talk about Bijan, because, this just seems like to be like Arthur Smith's mantra, is that he's not going to let these, superstar players get into the end zone. I have no idea why. So now him, Kyle Pitts, even Drake London has had this issue. It's super brutal, but it is what it is. He's still doing a lot with production, and that can get you pretty far. Just these, touchdowns that everybody was projecting him to get doesn't seem like they're going to be coming. So, anyways, if I had to pick, I think I'm going to go with Jacobs here, believe it or not, just because I think he's actually realistically can score a touchdown, plus against the Bears defense. I just think, I'm going with Jacobs over Bijan. And I will continue with Pacheco over Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is in a pretty good game environment, though, against the Giants, but Isaiah Pacheco is just really, really good this season and continues to impress me. So I'll take him. And then we have Mark Andrews. I will take Mark Andrews over Dallas Goedert. So I think, is that the first? Yeah, dude, Fruch, I feel bad, but that is the first pick I'm going with for you. First and only, as a matter of fact. And then, we'll finish off with DK over Joshua Reynolds. Fruch, maybe it's time to look to trade. You could try and get value out of Bijan still. I know some guys are thin. Myself included, I'm thin at running back, so you could try and sell Bijan for somebody. Or, maybe make some fucking room on your goddamn roster and drop your 3 useless defenses that you have right now. Anyways, good luck. You're screwed. I'm going with Shaka Zulu here. Last up, we got the Little Rocks, the 9 seed, versus Carl's Pirates, the 10 seed. And I'll take Josh Allen over Matt Stafford. I like that pick, though, considering T-Law has this, knee thing that's lingering. So, good move, Carl. But not good enough to pick Stafford over Josh Allen. I think you would agree. Next up, we'll take Amon-Ra over Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, let me pull it up. I don't want to make stuff up. Okay, Curtis Samuel the last 3 weeks has actually been pretty solid. Touchdown. So he's coming off a 3-touchdown streak. I think the question is, does that continue? If so, maybe that matchup's a little bit closer than we think, but I doubt it. Also, I'm recording this while the move was just made for Jackson Smith and Jigba to grab the start over Tutu Atwell. So this Devontae Smith is actually versus Jackson Smith and Jigba. Either way, I'm going to go with Devontae Smith there. Next up, we have the running back spot, and it really should be James Cook, just because I think he's really talented and he has a clear, defined role. But it is still like Jonathan Taylor at the end of the day, and the talent there is just too. With this pick, I'm betting on the player, really, and that is Jonathan Taylor. So, gonna go with him over James Cook. Next up, I do think Jerome Ford is going to be in for a pretty big week. With that being said, Gibbs might be force-fed a lot more touches because David Montgomery is missing time. And if that's the case, then maybe he pops the fuck off this week, in which case I would look silly for picking Jerome Ford. But yeah, I think Jerome Ford's in a great spot this week. Next up, I'll go with the tight end spot. And I'm leaning towards Laporta because Laporta has a really well-defined target share. He is, I think, arguably the second target on this team, just behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, do I like that? Yes, I like that a lot. I like that a lot more than George Kittle, who is I don't know, the most inconsistent tight end in the league right now. And it's not his fault. It is not George Kittle's fault. It's just that offense in general. You can kind of compare that to Dallas Goedert too. There will be weeks that he does well. It's just so inconsistent that it's hard to play. And for that reason, I'm going to be going with Laporta here. Okay, and I'll round out the matchup report. I'll be taking Chris Olave over Jeff Wilson. I think Jeff Wilson is great. I just don't know what his role is going to look like when you have Mostert, who is balling right now, and once HN mixes back in. I understand playing him this week, of course, but for future, I don't know if I would feel comfortable running him out there. Anyways, if I haven't mentioned it, I would be taking Olave over Jeff Wilson. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. The pick for this matchup, I'll be taking Kyle. I think he's going to get a much-needed bounce-back win here in Week 7. And that brings us to the Week 7 prediction summary. So, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Sorry this one's coming out a little late, but, life gets in the way, fellas. Life gets in the way. These aren't easy. These take about, 2.5 to 3 hours sometimes, just depending on how much I say. So, I hope you can understand where I'm coming from. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.